Welcome back to the Gentleman's Gazette. In today's video, we discuss how pants or trousers should fit, specifically dress pants. Finding a perfect fit for pants is a huge challenge, and although most people look at the jacket and it's a more difficult garment to fit, getting pants to fit properly is very, very difficult as well and often neglected. For one, you want the pants to be not too loose, not too baggy, but also not too tight or skin tight. You want a proper inseam length, which means it's neither too short nor too long. You also want the right circumference around your waist, your seat, your thigh, your knee, and your ankle. Overall, a perfectly fitting pair of pants has no wrinkles and clean lines, especially if you have pleats or just an ironed crease. Pleats can open up a little bit underneath the waistband, but they should never gap, especially around your thighs and the top part of the pants. From the back, you should always have clean lines. There should be no break, neither in the knees or the calves or the thighs, and it should just flatter your overall look. In my experience, pants that sit higher on the natural waist and not on the hips have a much better natural fit, drape, and they're also more comfortable. Also, a pair of suspenders might come in handy because it allows you to have a waist that's a little wider. It's more comfortable when you have a big lunch or dinner, but at the same time the pants stay at the same height all day long. The disadvantage of suspenders is that you can feel them on your shoulders, and some men find it uncomfortable. Personally, I don't mind the feel, and I like the clean, consistent look of my pants all day long. To understand the proper fit of pants, we have to take a look at the components of trousers. First, you have the waistband. It's basically a strip of fabric around your midsection, and traditionally in the 30s, 20s, those were cut really high because the natural waist is a good point to have trousers so they stay up, and it creates a clean, long leg line that is flattering because it makes you look taller. 10-15 years ago, a waistband was typically about 1.5 to 2 inches wide. Recently, it has become very popular to have very wide waistbands, so sometimes you can see 3.5, sometimes even 4 inches of waistbands with buttoning points. I personally believe that's a fashion trend that will vanish rather quickly. Something that you rarely see and that usually you can only get bespoke or custom made. By the way, check out our video here about the terminology if you're not sure what it means. Something that you can only get custom made is a pair of pants without a waistband. What that means is you don't have that extra piece of fabric, but your pants come up all the way and then they open up with pleats. It's a very elegant style, but it's only available bespoke, and sometimes you can find it with a half waistband in the back, or sometimes with no waistband at all. Most of the time you'll only find it with suspender buttons, but you can also find it with belt loops. Bespoke aficionados who want to be different usually go for a style without a waistband. The next area is the front or the seat. So the seat is in the back, the front is in the front, and it can be a tricky area if you have a bigger bum like I do. The next thing to pay attention to is the so-called rise. The rise is measured from the front of your waistband to the back of your waistband, going through your crotch. Now, a pair of pants that has a high rise has a longer measurement, and a low rise has a shorter measurement. One aspect of pants that very depends on the current fashion is the fit. If you go back to the 20s, they had Oxford bags, which were pants that were cut extremely wide, lots of volume, lots of fabric. If you look at today, you have rather slim pants, and actually they're quite similar to the 1920s. However, in the 20s, they had a higher rise, versus now you usually find lower rise trousers that are very skinny. So while the outside seam of your pants depends on your rise, the inseam of your pants always remains the same. It's a great measurement to know by heart when you buy new pants, because if you know the pants are too short and there's not enough material to let them out, they will never be able to fit you properly. At the same time, if the pants are too long, you can always accurately hem them to the exact right length, even if you don't have the proper shoes on. Although, if you go to an alterations tailor, I always suggest to have the shoes on that you're actually going to wear with that pair of pants, which would mean a pair of dress shoes with dress pants and not flip-flops. So now the big question. How should pants fit? A classic pair of pants should never have any puckering, pulling, or wrinkling. A wrinkle that shows that something is too tight is usually in the shape of an X, and so you can always tell, oh, something is too tight here and needs to be let out. Of course, you can only do that if there's enough fabric to let the pants out. Back in the day, tailors would use heavier fabrics that draped really well and would create a clean, nice look. Today on the other hand, most fabrics are very lightweight because most people assume that they're too hot. The flip side is that those fabrics, even if they're high-end, will never drape as well and wrinkles will be much more apparent. So unless your pants are custom tailored by a very experienced custom tailor, even made-to-measure pants can look off and wrinkly simply because the fabric is too thin. So it's one thing to keep in mind. You also want no ripples or lines that are horizontal, vertical or diagonal on the waist, on the seat, or on the pants themselves. Sometimes what happens is you have legs that are either X-shaped or O-shaped, and that can cause wrinkles if the pants are not tailored accordingly. The second hallmark of well-fitting pants are the pleats. If you have a single center pleat, it should go down all the way to your shoe in one straight, sharp-creased single line, and it should just slightly open up on top. It's just a beautiful look, and you can always tell if something is custom-made by the way the pleats hang. The number of pleats really changes with fashion. If you never want to go out of style, 2 pleats is great. Maybe even 1 pleat is a little more popular right now. Sometimes you see people with 3 pleats or more pleats. As long as you stay in the middle, you'll always be classic and it will never go out of style. Pleats are particularly helpful if you have a big bum, like I do, because it gives you extra room, and so the pants can hug you on your waistband without being too tight around your seat. Most of the time, pleats face outwards, which is just a fashion style. Personally, I think it's better for them to be faced inwards because they open up when you walk. It's more comfortable, and I also find the look is more elegant. 3. The line of the pants should be straight. There should be no breaks in the front or in the back, except for the amount of break on top of your shoe in the front. Now, if you want to learn more about that, please check out our video on pants breaks here. The 4th thing I look at in pants is the knee area, because if the crease hangs dead straight center in the front and in the back, you know you have a well-cut pair of pants. If it's slightly off to the side, to the outside or to the inside, you know an alterations tailor will have to make adjustments. So how can you ensure you get pants that fit? Well, for one, you can go and have them tailored at a true custom tailor. That's a very expensive proposition. Very few people can afford that, and it's not realistic for most of us. That being said, even if you have tailored pants, you can still up with not so well-fitting pants, especially after the first pair, and it's a process that you need to be part of and understand, and don't expect perfect results right off the bat. If you buy pants off the rack, bear in mind that they will never fit perfectly and you have to go to an alterations tailor. There is simply no perfect fit off the rack because you're not symmetrical, you're a human being, and as such there are always slight variations that are never considered in a standard off the rack pants pattern. Of course, the fewer alterations you have in a pair of trousers, the better. As such, if you have a brand or a specific fit in a brand where you know it fits you well around the waist and it has enough room for your big thighs, then you should stick to that brand and then have just made these alterations over and over again. That way you ensure you get a consistent fit without having to spend too much money on a tailor. Now, fixing pants at an alterations tailor seems easy, and most of them just do hemming or lengthening or taking the waist in or out, but there are probably about 23 different things that you can do depending on the wrinkles you see, and we'll do a separate video about how to fix pants, so stay tuned. Whenever you have pants altered, make sure you wear the accessories you will wear later, which means a belt if it has belt loops, or suspenders if it has suspender buttons. A pair of dress shoes or boots if that's what you'd wear with it afterwards, or maybe a pair of boat shoes if you think that's what you're going to wear with it. On the waistband, you want to avoid a so-called muffin top. That means your waistband is too tight and your belly fat hangs over. Of course, your figure may change over time, and having a pair of pants that has an extra reserve in it really helps to change it so you can always wear it. Traditionally, tailored garments have a lot more fabric reserve than especially inexpensive off-the-rack garments. And it's the beauty of going custom, because even if you change your physique, the pants will still be able to fit you. On the flip side, your pants are too big if you can pinch more than about ½ an inch to an inch. If you wear suspenders, or braces as they're called sometimes, you can get away with an inch or maybe 1.5 inches. That just creates more room, that is comfortable, but you may have problems with your shirt coming untucked depending on how your pants and the lining interact with your shirt and how long your shirt is. To learn more about that part and how you get a shirt that stays tucked in, please check out this video. A common issue that I see in the front and in the seat are X wrinkles. It's a sure sign that something is too tight and you need to let some things out. On the other hand, if you see excess fabric draping around those areas, it means it's too big and it needs to be taken in. In terms of cut, you know that your pants are too tight when the fabric clings to your socks and you get these uncharacteristic wrinkles, especially after you sit and stand again. Sometimes it's necessary to pull down your pants. In that case, I would either suggest you go with a pants lining that helps to slide back down, or you simply get a pair of pants that's cut a little wider so it can naturally hang. A pair of pants or cuffs help to pull down the fabric so you have clean lines. When you see a lot of material around your thighs that's flopping around, or material that's bunched up on top of your shoe, it means your pants are too long and too wide and you have to have them fixed. The problem is if it's too extreme, you can't do that, so consult with your alterations tailor and they'll be able to help you. Next up is the inseam. There are lots of people who have different opinions on what the perfect trouser length is. I believe that a slight break in the front is the perfect look. You can also go without any break whatsoever, but my personal preference is to have a slightly angled hem, because that allows you to have that little break in the front, but a really long pair of pants in the back, and it's just the most elegant look of all. Now, these are just a few points, and we have a lot more in our in-depth guide on our website, so check that out here. Overall, you may think this is a lot of things for such a simple garment, and yes, our standards are quite high, and personally, I would say I only have 2 pairs of pants that I think fit perfectly for me. So, high standards are a good thing because there's always something you can aspire to, but don't be afraid. And here are a few final tips that help you getting pants that will fit well. Don't buy gold pants, because chances are you won't get in the shape you want at a point in time, so the pants will never fit and stay in your closet. Don't be afraid of pleats. Most men today think that pleats are outdated, but in fact you should just look at your body, and if you have bigger thighs, a bigger seat, pleats are always more advantageous for you. If you're skinnier and thinner, you don't need pleats, but they can still look good. In the same vein, don't be afraid of cuffs or turn-ups, because they provide extra weight at the bottom of your pants, so they pull them down and help you to have a clean pants line. That's especially true if you go with a thinner fabric. Sometimes you can even add a little bit of weight that is sewn into your cuffs that help you create those beautiful, elegant lines. No matter if you buy bespoke or off the rack or made to measure, it helps to know your measurements so you can immediately see if something is off at the alterations tailor or when the pair of pants are ordered. The most important measurement to remember is the inseam length, because that should never change, and if that's off, the look is bad. When you buy pants off the rack, don't take the pant size at face value. That's especially true when you buy it off the rack, because every brand has a different understanding. So size 34, 32 can be very different at Ralph Lauren than it is at Levi's, for example. So always measure the pants and try on different things so you know you get the fit that suits you best. Don't squeeze into the 32s because you want to be a 32 when in fact you are a 36. Just because you're a 32 in one brand doesn't mean you are in the other. That's why you have to try them on and measure, because that's what's actually there. If you enjoyed this video, please check out our guide and sign up for a newsletter so videos like this come right to your inbox, and stay tuned for our next one.